thriving, playing, living life to the fullest. Our mission for Kansans since 2003. We are Kansas Spine and Specialty Hospital, proudly supporting KPTS, Public Television for Kansas.
The following program is brought to you by TZ Productions, celebrating KPTS's nearly 50 years of community support in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Wake the kids, phone the neighbors. It's time for another half hour of Hatteberg's People.
And this week I have another brand new story to show you.
He's everything that you could ever possibly want something like that picture to represent.
I think it's a pretty good picture for what they had to take of.
I just learned so much just hanging out for a little bit with him.
It's like he just arrived on a time machine from the 1950s. The old trucks, the overalls, the down-home approach to life. Kenneth Simons is not concerned about his age or even what year it is. The world he lives in is timeless. Also,
I was reading The Miracle Worker to him, and he told me that when he got to heaven, he was going to tell God about me.
She spent her days teaching sick children in the hospital, but then in a tragic twist, the teacher became the student. It's a life lesson of hope and compassion. Plus,
It's been fun. We've really enjoyed being here, meeting the people and everything. That's been really, and it's hard to say that we're going to have to quit.
a Kansas museum unlike any other. These marvels of art and engineering were wowing visitors in 2005, but at that time, it looked like curtains for the Boyer Museum in Belleville. See the story and find out what happened coming up. And
I feel more comfortable here than I do anywhere else.
here's another small town museum. It was filled with motorcycles and with memories. For LaVonna Engel, get your motor running. We're going to head out on the highway to Marquette. Hello, I'm Susan Peters.
And I'm Larry Hatteberg. Those are just some of the stories that are queued up and ready to roll. Hatteberg's People starts right now. These stories are like old friends. Their lives radiate from the screen like prophets of the past. They were teachers, but not in a classroom. Instead, they taught about life to those around them who cared to listen, and I was their student. Hello, everybody. We're glad you could join us.
We're going to begin tonight with another new story that has never aired. It is fresh out of the editing bay at Hatteberg Studios.
That's right, and this is about a man who is 85 years young and as happy as ever. He lives a timeless existence between Hayesville and Wichita. Now, some call him the Melon Man. Others see him as a savvy collector. And one woman sees him as a photograph that needed to be taken.
It's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. My folks raised watermelons when I was 5 years old. I was out in the watermelon fields with them.
Yep, that's Kenneth Simons waiting in his 1954 Ford melon truck for customers. Customers going by on South Broadway.
I kind of enjoy it. I like to get out early in the morning and I do all the hoeing and stuff.
His are organic, no pesticides.
It must be a labor of love. I have to do it all myself. Nobody wants to do this. So I just do what I can do.
But sometimes customers see more than the melons.
It just felt like the sky opened up and I was like, I think I'm going to take the picture of my lifetime.
Kathy Dean found Kenneth one day as she drove by. She saw the melons, and then she saw a picture.
The old days, absolutely. He's everything that you could ever possibly want something like that picture to represent.
I think it's a pretty good picture for what they had to take of.
I just learned so much just hanging out for a little bit with him.
Funny how life works, isn't it? But we don't have the full picture yet of Kenneth Simons. He's also a car collector and a truck collector. On his property, on this side, a 1962 Ford Fairlane, a 1956 Ford Fairlane, and a 1939 Mercury, and we'll come back to this one in just a moment, plus a 1968 Mustang. Now on the truck side, a 1954 Ford F-160, a 1967 Chevrolet pickup, a 1953 Ford F-100, a 1953 F-100 diesel, and a 1952 F-1 Ford. Now there are more, but let's go back to that 39 Mercury.
Well, my wife had told me when I left home I didn't need any more cars. And I said, well, I don't intend to buy it. I'm just going to go look.
Now that changed when he saw the actual mileage. He bought it on the spot from the original owner.
It was a one-owner car for her, and she'd had it 10 years, and they'd put 800 miles on it.
The upholstery is showroom new, and the car, well, it's hardly driven.
Well, it was right before Christmas, and I felt like I found my Christmas present.
Kenneth Simons bought his first car at 11 years old for $30. At 85, he's still buying and still selling. Buying cars, selling melons.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, I love seeing him. It's like, you're right, it's like going back in time.
It is. He lives in another time.
I love it. Keep selling those melons. By the way, you can see that photo Kathy Dean took of Ken on the Smithsonian Magazine website. It's among the entries in the 2018 Smithsonian.com photo contest.
Yeah, she was just driving down South Broadway, south of 47th Street, about 51st Street on Broadway, and she saw this guy sitting in the back of the truck with the melons, and she got out, asked if he could take a picture, and as it said in the piece, and click, and it was a great picture. She did a great job on that
and
picture.
Now it's
and
nationwide.
She gave him, as you saw, a copy of it.
Now to the story of this woman who was a real hero to seriously ill children and their families.
Now, her name was Kathleen Easter, and her job was to help kids keep up with their schoolwork while they were in the hospital. But it was also her joy in life and a learning experience for her, but her life did take a tragic turn.
They can be scary places, these hospital hallways. Hallways of good news, hallways of bad news. But they can also bring people together, people who need each other.
There you go.
Kathleen Easter needs her students, and they need her.
Yeah, $375.
Mrs. Easter has taught sick children for the past 24 years at St. Francis Hospital Child Life Center.
I do look forward to going to work every day. Right there, the next one. The children I know that come in and out of the hospital, and that mostly my cancer children. I know them and I've known them over the years, and so it really gives me encouragement and joy. I really enjoy it.
Kathleen Easter holds a bachelor's and master's degree in business education. Her business now is helping children maintain their school while hospitalized.
I gain a lot of strength from these kids. And over the years, I formed a lot of friendships with the children, with the parents, and it's really a joy working with them.
Many of the children she teaches suffer from childhood cancers. The teachers and the students become close. Sometimes she reads to sick children in their rooms. An example.
I was reading The Miracle Worker to him, and he told me that when he got to heaven, he was going to tell God about me. There are a lot of tears, especially when you get attached to the children and then lose them. It's really heartbreaking. I have a strong faith, and I pray a lot, and I say special prayers for that child. You have to have a strong faith.
Now there is another reason for Kathleen Easter to teach here.
I was diagnosed with cancer a little over a year ago.
It's then when the teacher becomes the student.
Good. I think that the strength that I had gained from all these kids helped me to go through the treatment, to be around these children and see the strength that they maintain through their illnesses. If you work with the children and have association with the parents, why you can't help but know what they're going through, and you think the things in your life they aren't compared with what the kids up here suffer.
Now, that story was from 1990. She was an inspiring woman indeed. Now, Kathleen, unfortunately, died 2 years later in 1992 at age 68. But she helped so many children, and I think that's what kept her alive for a long time.
Absolutely.
Is she helped all those children who couldn't get to school because they themselves were ill.
And she continued to help after she became ill.
Yes, she did.
Real hero.
Very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's something you really have to see to appreciate, but it's not easy to find. It is hidden away in a little town in northeast Kansas.
But it is well worth the trip. This is the art of Paul Boyer.
It's something I don't think you see anywhere probably in the world, because we've had people from all over the world and they've never seen anything like it. He says his brain is about the size of a walnut and it's full of gears. That's the way he describes himself.
Incredible, aren't they? For the past 60 years, Paul Boyer has created this animated artwork from a combination of carving and mechanics. In 1965, Paul was hit by a car, confined to a wheelchair, but found his creative bent in the creation of these sculptures.
It's probably the most unusual place you'll ever find. As far as the displays, you'll never see anything like it.
It is here in Belleville, Kansas, close to the Nebraska border, where the Boyer Gallery stands, but perhaps for not much longer.
It's a family treasure, actually.
Now aging and in ill health, Paul leaves the running of the museum that houses his work to his brother, John Boyer.
It takes a lot of patience, which he has, and he has a real good use of his hands. I like to watch him work on the wires and stuff, and he can get in there and adjust stuff, and it's really interesting to watch him work. It needs to be displayed. This is one thing we had done, me and my wife had done on our own, is just get this set up where he could display his stuff. It's been fun. We really enjoyed being here, meeting the people and everything. That's been really, and it's hard to say that we're going to have to quit. That's hard to do.
The question is, what happens to these one-of-a-kind artworks?
Beautiful.
It is possible the city of Belleville may take them if grant money can be found for acquisition. But for the time being, these eclectic and one-of-a-kind works can still be seen and admired, at least for the next month or so.
He has no desire to ever sell anything. It's just part of him, and he wants it to stay here. If nothing happens, it's all going to go back to his house.
Some have asked if his work is for sale.
I mean, he just laughs at me. What would I do with money? Because he's disabled, he can't go anywhere, and that price doesn't make any difference to him.
It is one man's art, now with an uncertain future. In Belleville, Kansas, I'm Larry Hatteberg.
I could look at his art for hours. Now, the Boyer Gallery did close, but only for 2 years. Then, Paul's 2 daughters took it over and reopened it. They say their dad is now 87 and still creating amazing new mechanical masterpieces for that museum. I went up there and I looked at that. I could hardly get behind the camera because I was so interested in these intricate little models of things that he makes. You have to see them to believe them. They move, they do everything, and you can't believe that somebody, and they're so intricate, and you can't believe that somebody could spend his time doing that. But it is so fascinating. Everybody should visit it.
He must be a genius to do things that intricate. And the thing that amazes me, it's in a little town in northeast Kansas.
That's right.
There are some incredible artists everywhere, genius artists.
That's right. He's an incredible man, past genius level.
Yeah. Okay, every year the McPherson County town of Marquette hosts the Thunder on the Smoky Motorcycle Rally.
Now, Marquette is the hometown of motorcycle racing legend Stan Engel. And along with his wife, they founded the Kansas Motorcycle Museum. But by 2009, he was gone, and she was pondering the future without him.
It's a very close-knit town. If you get in trouble, somebody will come and help you.
At the Kansas Motorcycle Museum in downtown Marquette, you'll find LaVonna Engdahl.
Now, Levana comes to the museum every day because that's what her late husband, Stan, would have wanted.
That's why I came back, because I knew that's what he wanted. And if I didn't come down here and do it, he'd get after me.
Stan died of a massive heart attack following a fire. He was McPherson County District No. 2 Fire Chief, but his lifetime love, in addition to Levana, was motorcycles.
Yeah, because I went to every race, and I was more or less helped him with the bike, and I helped him with everything else, and it was just fun.
Over the years, he took home over 600 racing trophies.
And he wanted to get the other room finished, and I said, okay, we've got to get it done, because that's what he would have wanted.
Stan and Levana began the Motorcycle Museum 5 years ago in the building that once housed their radio TV business.
We'd been married 55 years. They're beautiful, like some people would say cars were, motorcycles are to be.
The museum contains all kinds of rare motorcycles and, of course, all of Stan's.
We just enjoyed them.
Levana believes coming here every day is better than staying at home.
I feel more comfortable here than I do anywhere else.
It's been a big motorcycle weekend for Levana, full of memories and friends, and just as Stan would have wanted it.
I'm on my way.
Okay.
See you later.
We'll see you.
Okay.
See you this weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Levana passed away in 2014, but that museum continues on thanks to a team of volunteers who keep it open 7 days a week. It's only closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving, and it's located right in downtown Marquette. You can't miss it.
Unbelievable that there's that museum in Little Marquette.
Yeah, and what's really nice is they had so many friends, and everybody wanted to keep that museum open, and there's so many motorcycle fans out there.
There are
that they do keep it open. That's the amazing thing to me.
You know, most of Larry's stories are hopeful and inspiring, but not this next one.
That's right. You know, life has its seasons for everybody, and Babe Armitrout was in the twilight of winter by the time I met up with him in 1980. Unfortunately, his glory days were gone.
Times are not good for 81-year-old Babe Armitrout of Scott City.
Ain't got nothing but you left now. Ain't it, huh? Lord, this thing likes me just as good as that horse did. Man, this thing sure loves me. She loves me, that mule. Come on, gal. There ain't nobody gonna hurt you. She never been around nobody but me, hardly. Come here. Come here, boy. Come here.
An injury forced Babe to retire from his job as an animal trainer for carnivals and circuses.
Come on.
It's a job he loved and a life he misses.
Come on, get through my legs there. Oh, my goodness.
Now he's back in Scott City, living in a sparse homestead that's home for himself and his animals.
She's ready to do it. I didn't have to tell her. Now don't you jump off my back no more. Let's go, you standing there. We just did it. Come on. Now don't you jump off. Now stay there. Now that's it. Now, that man didn't hurt you. Get up there. Get up there, Tootsie.
While Tootsie earns her keep, Babe's other animals take advantage of a lazy afternoon.
Come on.
Time has taken its toll on Babe. And when asked if life still holds enjoyment, the old man's reply is tempered with reality.
I used to. Getting too old to enjoy anything. She's a good little dog. She does a lot of tricks.
As the sun gently warms up the chilly afternoon, Babe's thoughts are of his circus days, and good friends, and good times long ago. And if he could, Babe would be back with the crowds and the animals under the big top.
Sure would. The gasoline wasn't so high and everything. And time wasn't like it is. Time wasn't like it is, I'd go anyhow. The way times is, you know, it's tough.
For a man more than 80 years old, he's in good health and can look after his animals and is in every way self-sufficient. But Babe misses the carnival, his friends, and being on the road. And for him, that's life itself. This is Larry Hatteberg.
Now, 38 years later, Babe is, of course, long gone from this earth. But his sad situation in the final years of his life is as common now as it was in 1980.
It happens to a lot of people. You work for someone for a long period of time, and all of a sudden one day they walk in and said, "We don't want you anymore. You're too old."
It's unfortunately a part of life.
Too common.
Way too common.
Way too common, and it hurts. But I felt very honored that I was able to meet him because he was a neat man.
And it's important that you bring those stories out, even though they don't have a wonderful ending. They're part of life.
They are part of life, and we learn from them. Well, fortunately, life doesn't have to end that way. Now, here's the flip side of the old age dilemma. He is Loren Wade of Winfield.
Well, I just would like to keep busy. I just need something to do. I don't want to sit around.
Yep, that's Loren Wade over there, headed down the aisle in the Walmart on the south edge of Winfield. Now, in a few days, he'll be 100, and he's still on the job. He's worked at this Walmart for 21 years.
He's my inspiration, but don't put me on TV.
I'll think about that, ma'am. Meanwhile, you'll find Loren everywhere, loading merchandise. Sometimes he's on the floor for those hard-to-reach items. Then it's tearing down displays. Wherever he's needed, he's there.
It's awesome. He's an awesome man. I've known Loren for a long time, and you know, he's a hard worker and he does what he needs to do, and the customers love him.
How are you doing, sir? Good to see you this morning.
And he's just an all-around great guy.
Growing up in Winfield, I knew Loren. He's been around this town most of his life. Now, his family pictures reflect that past, a past that includes a war and the usual scars that everyday life brings. But he had no idea that at 100 years old, he'd still be working.
But I never gave it a thought either. I just kept working, but now then I know I'm not going to last forever.
And the thing about Loren, he always comes to you wanting something to do, and you know, if his main supervisor is not out there, and you know, they have a vacation or whatever, he'll come track you down looking for something to do. So it's great having somebody that old working for you and taking the initiative to get stuff done.
I have a lot of them come in there and want to know, well, how come you're still working? Why don't you retire? So, like I say, I just like to be here and have something to do.
Last month, Loren received an award by the Kansas Department of Commerce as the oldest working Kansan.
I'm not laying around the house, and I'm doing something and accomplishing something.
Now, Walmart Corporate can't confirm if Loren is the oldest employee of their 2.1 million employees worldwide, but if he isn't, he's awfully close.
Being active has contributed to my still being around, and you meet people, and okay, let's go. It's really fun, really.
Now, Loren kept working at Walmart for another 4 years, finally retiring in 2016. Then he passed away 5 months later at age 104. His family told him that first his wife died, then his dog died, and then I think he was just tired.
He was just tired,
He was just tired. And what I learned from doing that story that I've really never told anybody is I found out that he was my dad's best friend in high school.
That's not true.
It is true. And I did not know that.
How cool is that?
It's really cool.
Circle of life.
Yeah, and he told me things about my dad I didn't know.
You didn't even know.
That's right.
And what was neat about that story, didn't it go national? Like he was the oldest Walmart greeter in the whole country.
He wasn't a greeter. He was actually stocking the shelves as we saw in the story. Yeah,
that's right.
And yes, it was a national story, and I know on my website it gets thousands of hits.
It does.
Still to this day. Yeah.
He lives on. Another half hour of Hatteberg's People in the can now. We are so glad you could join us.
And remember, if you have a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you. The email address is hattebergspeople@kpts.org, and we read every letter, folks. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Larry Hatteberg.
And I'm Susan Peters. We'll see you back here next week for more great Hatteberg classics. Take care.
The preceding program was brought to you by TZ Productions, supporting KPTS and the communities it serves in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Support also comes from viewers like you. Thank you. For a free copy of this program, become a new member of KPTS for a $40 contribution. If you are already a member, just send $25 for shipping and handling. Be sure to include the program's name, date, and time.